if some of you recall being at this place back in 2016, I think it was, when we had a big signing ceremony over here, and we had the park blessed by our elders and so on to welcome the buffalo to come back. And and they're up there roaming freely, very happily up there in around Panther Creek as we speak. And Banff, in this area, in our Blackfoot way, and some of you probably have different names for it in your own tribes, but for the Blackfoot, this was known as Buffalo Springs, Inukseskun, Buffalo Springs. And this was a place where a lot of the our First Nations, our people, used to come and meet over here and trade and so forth, have ceremonies and so on. So this place is very sacred to all our people. And so having that signing ceremony over here 5 years ago or so was a very, special occasion that revived that notion about all our people coming together at this particular place. We've all known about the Buffalo Treaty, which was signed in 2014 over on the Blackfeet Reservation in September of 23rd of 2014. And I take it you people all have copies of that of the Buffalo Treaty, so you're familiar with that, what it's all about, and so on. But I will say that what I have told many audiences that we've spoken to is that the buffalo is very, very special to us, to all of us. And we keep referring to it as a keystone species. And I draw the analogy of a keystone species, especially for the younger people, so that they would understand what we really mean by a keystone species. And that is that kind of like a superstar on a professional sports team, like a hockey team. For instance, Edmonton Oilers have a Connor McDavid, see, and he's their superstar. And so the superstar, they build the team around the superstar, okay? And if you were to remove that superstar, usually the team kind of falls apart a little bit and so on. Well, when we say keystone species, that's what the buffalo is. It's the superstar when it comes to the environment. So when we're talking about buffalo restoration, it's not just bringing an animal back to the, and having the buffalo on the ground and bringing back to the land. What we're really talking about is a whole relational network, that the buffalo brings about, for the plants, other animals, and even climate change and so on. And you can think about the buffalo as an eco-engineer. It's an eco-engineer. It engineers the ecosystem so that it has a balance and so on. Okay. You can think of, people don't think much about, they just think it's of interest and so on. But you can also look at a very small animal like a beaver. Okay? Think about what the beaver does when it builds those dams and so on, etc. It's also an eco-engineer. See? Brings about, balance in the ecosystem, so on. See? Well, that's what the role these buffalo plays. And it also plays a very important role because we realize that importance it plays in the plains culture, in our culture, and so on. All our songs, all our stories, all our ceremonies are very closely related to that buffalo. And so it's also a keystone species when we're talking about culture. So it's also a superstar when we're talking about culture.
We were allies and also wary of each other because, we had raids back and forth. And, but even when you think about it, whether you're in a time of peace or a time of war, you're still recognizing each other as nations of people. And we don't do that anymore, recognizing our nations. Now when we talk nation to nation, we're talking about ourselves and the nation of Canada, the federal government. And that has its own place. It's neither right nor wrong. It has its own place. But what we need to bring back is that nation to nation recognition of each other's. And that's where the Buffalo Treaty, I think, has really gone a long way. Because that's how we signed onto the Buffalo Treaty, is as nations of people, not as federal Indian Act bands, but as nations of people. And we've done that. The nations that have signed on, we've all shared what it is the buffalo is for us. Gamko kokul iyamo. That's what we call the buffalo. And it's just a big part of who we are as Ktunaxa, as Kootenai. It's in our stories, it's in our songs, it's in our dances, it's in everything. It is there. And I know it's the same for all the other nations who have signed on to that treaty. So the whole exercise, it was brilliant. The people who started this, like Leroy and I'm not sure who else. We know how important the buffalo is to us, all of us. And reintroducing it into our lands, it helps you dream about and think about what it must have been like, and then to know that it can be like that again, where something that was so much, just as much a part of this land as we are, having the existence dependent on this land, that now we can also have the buffalo to become, or to return, really, it's to return to the importance that it was for every one of our nations.
I'm really thankful and I'm really honored to be here to be with, to present that with working on the buffalo. Before we did that, I had a prayer and I did the smuds for them so that things will go smoothly for us. And like I said, in our culture, our tradition, we always have a little, prayer so that it will all work out. And I welcome everybody to, and I really hope you enjoy, I love cooking and serving food, and I love being with you, so I welcome everybody, yes. And we look forward to seeing you all the time, yes. Talking about Banff Indian days, I remember very well that I camped there with my parents, my grandparents, and they have shared a lot of with medicine that I remembered. I used to sit there and like they used to say, you have to sit in mud, you have to carry this on. They'll take out their bags, the women will sit around and they'll trade their medicines and like she said, hides and all, they'll trade with all that. And then I remembered my grandparents and my mother saying, oh, this is from the Kootenays. I'll save that for a certain moccasin, for certain ceremonies, for that part. And they know which is good and what to use where. I remembered all that. I used to watch all that and listen. And at night time too, they'll be going around singing in front of the all night. They'll be going around, and then when they come to I would say, get the tea ready, get the herbal tea ready. When they come there, they'll put the kettle out with cups, and then they'll drink that. That's a blessing that for each tent, for each family, and then that's what they shared. I remember because we were always told not to play around, but listen, because we have to carry that. So I'm really thankful that my ancestors and my grandparents taught me that, to listen and learn. I remember, but things, a lot of things changed, but I still got my language, which I'm fluid in, and then it's so sad that we had to, we just recently lost my cousin. We had his funeral last week, and we're in the preparation of almost done with our Stoney language. We made a dictionary. Only certain people that we were told, there's 4 of us out of the Stoneys that were chosen to complete that. And he didn't come on Thursday, and he said, I'll be there tomorrow. And the next day I got news that at his house he had a heart attack. And that's a big loss. And prior to that, we were really working with Darren that was here, and then I shared a lot of medicine and a lot of stuff with him that I really missed. That I don't know, just why you leave us. And then I told my sister and my brother, we have to. I just thought, I'm not going to go to Banff anymore. I'm not going to go to Canmore. I'm just going to. And then I said, hey, all the teachings, we were carrying that on. We have to continue. And that really helped me. And that's why I just really worked on that meat. And I said, we have to do it. And that really helped me bring back the strength. So I'm just going to continue on. And I'm really thankful for Dawn and Donna and all, just getting to know them, and her, just everybody, just there are people that are there to help us. I thought so, and I'm going to continue that on. And I have a lot of things to share that in all the different areas. And when they used to come on that side to trade, And then when we were all they had songs where we're going over the mountain and all those different areas. And I was telling Don that I would love to bring that back, and we can in time, and we can record it so that it can be there, so we won't lose it. Like what we're saying, we're losing some of it now. So I just really thought that my hope is to, I'm looking forward to bringing all that back with the help from my brothers and my sisters.
You have those that are the knowledge keepers. They know things in that. But sometimes I find the reluctance to share knowledge only impedes us more and more. That's just our lived history. I think what's happened in the past couple of months, and with my run for national chief, I learned quite a lot of things. I can see where the disconnect begins to happen, because you have your leadership from whatever nation, they're disconnected from their communities, and we had this discussion about those that are, you would just call the ones that don't have anything, and then those that belong to political families have everything. So you're kind of talking to one hand, but the other hand doesn't want to listen. When we talk to that hand of politicians, and they're trying to listen, they still don't want to listen. Being a former chief, I know how hard that is. And I give my understanding to chiefs about, if they can't listen, it's because it really is hard. And I've always told chiefs that you go to any meeting and everything and then after meeting you look at your phone and you begin to see how many people are asking, "Hey chief, I got no food tonight, help me." Or chief, my family's suffering from domestic violence or sexual abuse, help me. And we don't have the answers, but we pretend to have answers. And with this Buffalo Treaty, I think it's beginning, because we have to get back to what the buffalo means to us. I can talk in terms of the messages and the significance of it, but really, with the discovery of these first 215 and the more that to come, it's changed everything in our landscape across Indian land, all across Canada. Just in the past month, just over a month, it's changed everything, and we don't know what to do about it. I think this is where the Buffalo Treaty is going to come in really important. Not just for the knowledge of what buffaloes are and the foods and everything like that, but what the buffalo actually teaches us, because now we have to talk to the rest of Canada. Well, how do we change that? We have to change it by, number one, in education. Curriculum needs to happen. The Buffalo Treaty can help us to bring in curriculum into all our provinces. And sadly, it has to go to the provinces. If you're under provincial laws, you have to obey their curricula. As a nation, if you take under your own belt, your own development, your own curriculum, which I always encourage everybody to do, you're still paying the price, because provinces don't recognize your grade 12. And yet there's a whole body of knowledge that's come out of that from those grade 12s. They just don't even know it. So, in order to really begin to change things, and it's really formidable, is that you have to start seeing changes in corporations. Those that sit on board of directors, in their hiring practices, and in how they care for their staff that are Indigenous, and just anybody in general. Because all of us people, when we try to make a living, we take jobs that are just hourly pay, because we have to live. But in doing that, we don't get the benefits of those that are salaried staff. We were just talking about an incident where I worked before. This lady, she got triggered last week about the residential schools. She can't even work anymore. Well, she can, but they've given her time off, and they asked her, "How much time off do you need?" They said, "Do you need a month?" And she said, yeah, I could live with that. Okay, but we can't pay you. So she's getting punished for having to go through all this trauma again. You know, so she says, well, I should just quit and find another job and let somebody else worry about those things. And I told her, no, you can't. You can't do that, because your children are gonna get impacted by what you don't do. Sadly to say, us as the generation now of leaders and elders and that, the work ahead of us is so difficult. But we can't just walk away anymore. We can't. You know, and I'm so glad I came back for this buffalo tree. I just was glancing over it. It just reminded me, got my mind going again, about how important it is that the buffalo's message comes forward. Because leadership needs to change. And it comes from the grassroots. And what's at the grassroots? Buffalo. They're here to say, I got the lessons for you. You know, you just need to find a way to tell this story. In Sotin, I grew up in, you know, a lot of protocols, and a lot of elders say, oh, you didn't give me tobacco for anything, I'm not going to share anything. Well, there's always reasons why. And yet, when I was young, I grew up with my uncles, and they all drank, and they loved their drinking, you know. But that's when the stories came out about what this medicine was. You know, this is how we did things in that. It took the bravery of alcohol for them to say, well, we don't need to have a gift of tobacco. I'm just going to tell you right now. You're going to hear me. And so they would always be testing each other all along. You know, that's not the way you used to do it. That's the way we did. You know, and they're drunk. But you learn something from that. That this Buffalo Nation is, you know, it's always rumbling. You always hear the rumbling of the buffalo coming. You know, and they're getting closer. And the close says, we're coming, we're coming. And that's what these unmarked graves, they're part of that. Say, we're here. Here's the evidence now. What are you going to do with it? Stop crying. You know, you mourn because you have to. Because I'm sorry I couldn't be your uncle. I'm sorry I couldn't be your auntie or grandparent. I'm really sorry. But when I came into this world, all I knew was love. And that was taken away. I didn't know anger. I didn't know hate. I didn't know anything. All I knew was love. But I've evolved. I'm an ancestor now. I'm not a little kid, so stop treating me like a little kid. You know, I'm here to guide you from that other side. I'm just sorry I couldn't be there for you on this side. You know? And it's sad. It's sad. You do have to kind of cry, because I feel sad about it. You know, but there's the lesson says now I got to do something about it, because these young people here, they're sitting all around here. You know, we have to show them we're going to do something now. We're not going to sit back anymore, because those ancestors are telling us we got to do something. So in terms of sharing knowledge about food or gathering, I have no problem with that. You know, if somebody wants to offer me tobacco, great. I appreciate that acknowledgement. If you don't have tobacco to offer me, that's okay as well, because I'm passing on this knowledge that's not even mine to begin with. It belongs to the universe. All I'm doing is just passing it on. My cousin, he's passed on, my adopted brother, he passed on about 3 years ago now. You know, he sings. He knew how to sing lots of songs. He says, well, how do you know all these songs? And he says, you know, I take my drumstick and I reach up in the air like this and I wave it around. Boom! There's the song. I start singing it. And when it's done, I just give it right back up to the universe. Because it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the people. And that's where our knowledge is. It belongs to the people. You know, I know what fungus, what mushrooms to look for. I do know that because I conducted studies on my reserve. You know, I know a little bit about trees. I know bees. I know their importance because I'm a beekeeper. You know, I've done environmental work all my life, so I do know. But the one thing that's brought it all back to the forefront with me was just reading this treaty all over again today. And I know all of us here were on the right track. We're on the right track to get there, but it's a bit daunting. It's a bit scary. But we still got to go forward with that. So that's all I can say right now.